ahead and get started. Welcome again to our Credit for Prior Learning info session. I'm sure you all are taking time out of very busy days, so we hope that we will reciprocate with lots of good information. My name is Sheila Gold. I'm the Executive Director of Recruitment and Admission. I am joined by several colleagues today. The first one is Delilah Omerbashik, and she's the director of our Credit for Prior Learning program. She will be sharing most of the information with you today. She's the guru on all prior learning information, so she's really your person. Priska Washington is one of our colleagues. She's an advisor, and she is joining us. And then Ann Conlin is our events coordinator, and she is behind the scenes making all the magic happen. So thank you, Ann. She's moving us through the slide deck and helping with the tech. So Delilah put a welcome to everybody down in the chat. If you all wouldn't mind in the chat dropping your name and where you're calling in from. I'm always curious to know where our folks are calling in from. We just like to see. So that's some interesting information for us. So just drop it in the little chat. There's a little chat icon at the bottom of your screen. Click on it, just drop in. So Andrew is calling in from the great state of Maine. Welcome, Andrew. Kirsty is calling in from New Orleans. So she's here with us. Nathan, Baton Rouge. Coming in quick. I see Memphis. I see more New Orleans. Got a lot of New Orleans people. Leakesville, Mississippi. Tanisha, welcome. Ricky's calling in from New Orleans. Delois also from New Orleans. So we're kind of all over, heavily New Orleans, but Seattle. James is calling in from Seattle, but grew up in Mobile, Alabama. So that's a hometown person as well. So this is great. We're kind of all over the country. Lafayette and New Orleans. Will Blackman. So thank you all. So we're going to tell you a little bit about the history of our school, sort of what the School of Professional Advancement is, where it sits within the greater university. And then Delilah will talk to you a little bit about the Credit for Prior Learning process, what it is, how to get your credits, how the program works. I'll share a little bit of admissions information, and then we will either answer some questions or have you all reach out to us after the webinar if you have questions. So a little bit about SOPA. SOPA is the School of Professional Advancement, but it's our little name for it. But what you all need to know is that Tulane University itself was founded in 1834 as the Medical College of Louisiana. It was created as a response to the yellow fever epidemic that was happening here in the Gulf South. And so what's interesting is here we are, we find ourselves all these years later in another epidemic. So what's old is new again. But what is interesting for you all to know is that about 50 years from the founding of the university, so Medical College of Louisiana, 1834, and then in 1886, the university decided that they wanted to open up a part of the university to local adults in New Orleans who were interested in going back to school and getting their degree. So these are adult learners who aren't necessarily the typical, like, I just graduated from a high school, I'm 18 years old, and I want to get my bachelor's degree. These are folks who had been working, maybe they had been in military service, maybe they had been doing something professionally, but decided that they wanted to go back and get another degree or maybe get their first bachelor's degree or their master's degree. So we have been doing this for 130 years. And why the Credit for Prior Learning program is so important is that so many of our students come to us with either experience from the workforce or experience from other degrees that they can apply towards what they're pursuing now at SOPA. So we want to give you credit for that so that you can move towards your educational goals a little bit more quickly. but we're pretty good at doing it. We've had 130 years of experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about our online classes, how we support you all as students, the affordability and flexibility of the school, and we'll touch on a few of these aspects during this webinar. Next slide, please. So I am going to kick it over to my colleague, Delilah, and let her take it from here.
Thanks so much, Sheila. Hi, everybody. My name is Delilah Omenbashic. I am the Prior Learning Coordinator here at SOPA, and I'm also the Program Director for Humanities and Social Sciences programs. And one of the coolest things about being in this coordinator position is that I get to learn about just the diversity of previous experiences that our students come with, and also figure out ways to have those experiences potentially count towards credit through different forms of assessment that we offer. So credit for prior learning can be awarded for any learning outside of the classroom. So previous work experiences, community service, volunteer work, and also military training. So you have different options, and particularly for those of you who are in undergraduate programs, you have a few more options, more options than the graduate students, but we'll talk about all of the different opportunities that we have. And at any point, if you have questions, feel free to either unmute, raise your hand, or post a question in the chat, and then we'll leave some time afterwards as well. So for undergraduate students, you are able to earn up to 24 credits through prior learning assessment. You can have a total of 60 prior learning credits, which include your transfer coursework, count towards your degree. So out of the 60, 24 can come through prior learning assessment. Prior learning credit does not count towards the school's residency requirements. So you're required to take a certain number of courses at SOPA. So this would not fulfill that requirement. And also the courses that, or the credits that you earn through this process may not be transferable to other schools at Tulane. And then graduate students are able to earn up to 6 credits through portfolio assessment specifically. Next slide. All right, so we have different forms of credit by examination that undergraduate students can pursue, and this includes a couple of standardized tests. So CLEP and DSST are basically standardized tests that are focused on mostly introductory courses. So for example, if you have experience in accounting, you may be able to take a standardized intro to accounting course and then have that count towards your credits. And then also if you have proficiency in a language other than English, you may also be able to earn credits for that language. So Tulane offers language proficiency testing, and then you're able to potentially earn credit for example, intermediate level Spanish. So that's definitely one of the options that we offer. And then today we'll talk about primarily portfolio assessment. This is a form of assessment that we offer here at SOPA. It's in partnership with our SOPA faculty. And it basically allows you to demonstrate how the knowledge that you've gained and acquired through your previous experiences aligns with courses that we offer here at SOPA. So the process typically starts with a meeting with either me or your advisor. And here you will discuss, how your previous experiences may align with something that we do offer. So for example, going back to accounting, or if you have experience in business or IT or design, there may be opportunities for you to show how this aligns with a course that we offer. So after you identify courses for which you may potentially earn credit, you will need to learn how to create a portfolio that demonstrates this experience. And then as an undergraduate student, you would do this through a course that counts towards your general electives. As a graduate student, you would take a self-guided workshop that will teach you how to go through this process. And then once you kind of have an idea of what your portfolio would look like, you would write a portfolio narrative and then also gather supplementary documentation that illustrates all of this experience that you have. Once you have that completed, you submit your portfolio for assessment. It typically goes to a faculty member who teaches that class. So Intro to Accounting, it would go to the person who's teaching Intro to Accounting, and they would basically evaluate it to see if what you've put together in your portfolio aligns with what you would have learned if you had taken that class for credit. Next one. So as I mentioned, for undergrads, you would enroll in a portfolio development class. It's PAPL 1000. It's offered every semester. It is a 3-credit course. It's fully online. The prerequisites for the class are completion of English 1010, or your introductory writing class, and also 2.0 GPA. The tuition that you would pay for this class includes 3 assessments. So you could potentially earn 12 credits for the price of 1 class. And then for graduate students, you are enrolling in a self-guided course. This does not carry any credits. And the cost for each portfolio assessment is the cost of 1 credit, which at this time is $1,158. And you can complete 2 portfolios and have them count towards your degree. So each portfolio that you would create is developed in alignment with the course that we already offer. These are primarily courses in our applied programs, so Homeland Security, IT, Digital Design, Legal Studies, Business and Leadership Studies, and Kinesiology. And courses exclude internships, labs, anything that's experiential where you actually have to participate in order to earn credit. And then also most of the humanities and liberal arts courses are excluded as well. Your portfolio is a written narrative, so it's basically structured like an essay that describes your previous experiences in alignment with the course objectives for the class for which you're seeking credit. These typically end up being about 15 to 25 pages for undergraduate students, around 20 to 30 pages for graduate students. It really depends on the number of objectives that you have to address. But they're basically longer narratives that would probably look something like your final essay for a class. And then the narrative has to demonstrate mastery of each of the learning outcomes for the class that you select. So if, for example, a class has 4 learning outcomes, you only have experience in 3, the 4th one, not so much, you would not receive a credit recommendation for that class. I think here we have an example of what that might look like. So this is a class that a lot of folks have completed portfolios for, especially if you worked in an office, and especially in the past few years, where a lot of us worked online, and It's a class in our information technology program called Internet Collaboration. And these are the learning outcomes for that class. So if you were writing a portfolio for this course, you would have to address each one of these 6 outcomes. You would structure a portfolio around these. So your first one would be defining elements of the internet. So you would write a narrative, providing this definition, and then showing some examples of how you've learned this through your previous experiences. For number 4, you create documents and files that are hosted in cloud applications. Again, you would describe how you've done this previously, and then include any additional documents that show that you have this expertise. So, for example, you can include samples. You can include certificates or trainings that you've completed. So all of these would kind of come together in the portfolio to show the breadth of your experience. And then again, you have to address each one of the 6 with supporting examples and a supporting narrative in order to be able to earn credit. And then all of the portfolios are assessed by SOPA faculty. All assessors are trained and use a standardized rubric. So you would be receiving feedback based on that rubric. And portfolios are evaluated based on content as well as style. So there's a percentage of the scoring that considers, the style and the grammar and citation formatting and things like that. And then if you receive a passing score on the assessment, then you would receive credit for that class. So the credit would show up on your transcript for the specific course. So if you complete a portfolio for internet collaboration, then your transcript would say 3 credits for internet collaboration by examination. All right, so that's a really quick high-level overview of the process. If you have additional questions or would like to talk more about your experiences and to see how it might align with this process, feel free to reach out. I'll post my email address in the chat, but also feel free to ask questions today as well, and we can address those as well. But now I'll pass it over to Sheila to talk about the application process.
Thanks, Delilah. And if I'm not mistaken, both of our contact information will be at the end of this webinar too. So folks will have a chance to see the contact information again. So for those of you who, and Delilah just put her email address in the chat. So for those of you who have not yet applied to SOPA, I'm going to quickly go over the application process. We try to make it as simple as possible, although, there are questions that come up. Please do not be afraid to ask us if you have any questions. We like to hear from our prospective students. We fundamentally feel like the application process is the beginning of our relationship building with our students. So reach out. We like to get to know you. We want you to get to know us. So our application is an electronic application. It lives on our website, sopa.tulane.edu. You can see that address at the bottom of your screen. And for those of you who are interested in applying for undergrad, you pick the undergraduate application. And for those of you who are interested in graduate, you pick the graduate application. We do require an application fee, $40 for undergraduate, $50 for graduate. However, for anybody who attends a webinar, we waive that fee. So we've captured your attendance at this webinar. Your fee should automatically be waived. If you have already applied to SOPA and paid that fee, please email me and I can refund it for you. It's a very easy process. So just email me and say, I've already applied, but I just attended the credit for prior learning webinar. I can take care of it. For all applications, we will need a copy of a current government ID. So for most of you, just take your phone and take a picture of your driver's license or a passport and upload that image. We will also need transcripts from any school from which you've received college credit. You can send those either electronically or by US mail. We do encourage electronic applications because they come more quickly and they tend to not get lost. For those of you who are applying for graduate programs, most likely you will have to submit a written statement and a resume as well. We do not require any GRE or SAT scores, so that's generally very good information for students who are interested in applying to our program. Some deadlines you all should know about. We have 3 starts per year. So you can start in fall, spring, or summer. Our next open entry term is for summer. We are accepting applications right now. The term after that will be the traditional fall start. And for those of you who are really big planners, spring start is in next January. Our application deadline for summer is May 1. For those of you who are applying for fall, August 1 is the application deadline and spring is January 1. However, we encourage you all to apply early. Please do not wait until these application deadlines. There's no need to do that. You can apply right now for any of these terms. Well, you can apply for summer and fall. Spring application isn't open yet, but you can apply early. We read applications on a rolling basis. So that means as soon as your application is completed, we will review it and get you an admissions decision. And we have early enrollment scholarships. So if you apply early, get accepted early, and register early by these early dates that are on your screen right now, you will receive either $200 for undergraduate or $500 for your first semester. So it's just an easy way to get a little extra money your first semester. Apply now, get admitted, get all your plans in place, and we'll give you a little extra money to make that first semester a little bit easier. So we hope that you'll do that. All right, so this is our contact information. Delilah's email is on top, mine is the bottom, sgold@tulane.edu. There is a phone number on there. Don't call me, I'm almost never at my desk, but I am always in front of my email. So definitely email me and I will be happy to answer any questions. So for those of you who would like to drop a question in the chat, feel free to do so. Somebody asked about employee tuition. So are you talking about the tuition waiver for employees? It should cover our graduate level, but always check with HR. We always tell for those of you who work at Tulane and get the tuition waiver as an employee, check with HR, make sure that you qualify, all of those other things. But yes, they should, in theory, apply to our programs. Any other questions? You can drop them in the chat. And if we don't see any other questions, that's okay too. You have our emails on the screen. You can email us in the coming days if something pops in your head, and we'll be happy to answer those as well. So I don't see any more. So here's the thing. If you receive a tuition waiver, the early enrollment scholarship won't really help because it goes towards your tuition and that's already being waived anyway. So it doesn't apply to like any fees or anything, but it's all right, I've already done my application. Okay, great. If you paid your application fee, Durnell, let me know and I can refund it for you. Just email me. This is, will credit from past attendance at Tulane be, that is an advising question of how many credits Carly can have applied. Delilah, do you want to jump in there? Can you?
I don't think I see that one. Let's see.
Oh, maybe it's directly to me. So Carly
Yeah.
says, will credit from past attendance at Tulane be allowed to exceed the 60 credits? So that's really like an advising question. So do you allow more than 60 credits to be transferred over?
I think if it's taken at Tulane.
If it's taken at Tulane, it technically isn't a transfer credit.
Right.
And so you still would be able to transfer 60 additional credits in addition to the credits you've earned within the institution. As long as it was earned within Tulane University, it's not going to be considered a transfer credit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Priska. Priska's coming from behind. Mysterious Priska, but she came through. Thank you very much. All right. Any other? Carly says thank you. Anything else? There she is.
I have a question, Sheila.
Sure.
It says, if we haven't applied yet, how do we get the application waiver?
It's automatically applied.
And then,
Because yes, it will be automatically applied because you registered for this webinar. And so your registration is tied to your application. And so it will be automatically applied.
and then, if the applicant is a Phi Theta Kappa member, how does the tuition discount work?
So if you are a PTK member, go ahead and get accepted to Tulane SOPA. And then once you're admitted, you'll have a little form that kind of lives on our website for all of our tuition discounts. And you will just need to upload your PTK membership certificate so that we have proof that you're a PTK member, and then fill out this little form. And then the 20% tuition discount and the PTK will just be applied to your tuition bill moving forward. So it's not a very hard process.
And then we have a question about grad school credits that are from some years ago. And I think that really varies based on either the program director who is accepting the transfer credits or the department chair that's reviewing them. So it really depends on which program they're in, and sort of they have the syllabus or the courses would have to be reviewed. So we've seen a whole range of different different responses there. So it really depends on what courses you're bringing in.
Okay, somebody says, I was accepted into SOPA this semester and had to drop my classes. Will I need to be accepted again if I want to resume my? No. So the way it works is if you had to drop your classes, you do not have to reapply unless you've been out for a full calendar year. So Angela, hopefully you know who your advisor is. You should reach back out to your advisor and say, I want to be reactivated. That's the term. I want to be reactivated as a student for the summer semester. And then you can take or fall semester, whatever semester it is that you want to start. But if you sit out a full calendar year, then you will have to reapply. But it sounds like you want to come back either summer or fall. So just ask them to reactivate you as a student. That's a great question.
And there's another question about a transcript. It says I have to make sure on my transcript, but I think that is showing the bachelor's portion. I need to know if my transcript is the right one for my Tulane transfer credit. So again, I think for that one, you would need to follow up with your advisor and they can let you know if there's anything else that you need to submit.
Yep. These are great questions.
Yeah.
All right. Any more? I don't see any more on my end. How about you, Delilah?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, thank you all for being here. This was terrific. We're thrilled that you joined us and took time out of your day. And if you have any other questions, just email us. But I always say, I hope that we will be welcoming you as a student at Tulane very soon. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone. And please reach out if you have anything else that you need answered. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.